And next, we move on to the Atlanta Falcons. John, what do you feel? I know you have so many feelings about this team.
I do.
I know that you do.
I do.
know that you do.
Yeah.
From Kirk Cousins, your disdain for Kirk Cousins, all the way into, I know that a darling of yours was Drake London, also a darling of mine.
I've never been a Drake London guy. I'm too scarred from other big body throw it up, catch 'em guys, contested catch guys.
No, I feel like when Drake London was coming in, when he was coming into the league, you were excited for Drake London.
No. I was on Olave, and I was on Jameson Williams. You know who I love? Like my guy, I'm a big Penix guy. He's the one that I want to see succeed in this team. I love Michael Penix.
This is such a weird.
It sounds awful. I hope Kirk's not really ready to come back week one, and they have to play Penix. I think that'd be excellent.
And he just comes out and drops, like pulls a Jameis Winston, and just drops 60-yard bombs every third play.
Exactly.
Like just use the guy's strength and piss off the other team.
That's exactly it. All right, so let's look at the Falcons. Their 2023 year. You may have it in front of you, so I'm just bringing it up now. They were very all over the place, very 50-50. They were good defensively to start the season. They had a bit of a lull through the season where teams were throwing on them. Again, teams were able to rush on them as well. Just talked about James Conner. He had a good game last year against them. Derrick Henry was able to rush on them as well. But so it's interesting, they were pretty good at their corners, and you can tell that AJ Terrell was having a fairly good year as well last season. So not a huge amount to take away. They move on from Desmond Ridder. They bring in Kirk Cousins, and they draft Michael Penix as well.
What an upgrade!
Yeah, they've still got Bijan Robinson and Taylor Algier. Although now that the man Arthur Smith is gone, and they've brought in Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson at offensive coordinator, it's going to be interesting to see how that shifts. Will Bijan be the guy? Will Tyler Algier still exist in this system? Because problem I have with Tyler Algier is he's so freaking talented. It's like, how do you not run him from time to time?
Well, you're gonna run him, but when you watched the film last year on Bijan Robinson, what do you think was the biggest strength that you saw?
His elusiveness and his explosiveness. So
I was going to say the exact same thing.
It's frustrating when running backs always want to cut it out to the outside all the time, because you kind of want them to go north to south rather than laterally all the time. But with Bijan, this is why he's different, because he'll cut it to the side and then he'll cut it north to south when he's ready, and he finds the holes and he's off.
Right.
Now, but they didn't give him the ball last year. His line was sitting around 16 and a half attempts, 15 and a half attempts. And he only went over that 3 times since
you and I were very frustrated last year on Bijan Robinson, myself more than anybody. Now, the games that I did take Bijan Robinson, I knew that we should take him because it was Arthur Smith's job on the line.
Yeah, on the line.
So, I mean, you could probably grab a clip or two of last season right now and put it in here of me saying, if you don't fucking run Bijan Robinson right now, you're fired.
Well,
they ran him, and they ran the hell out of him.
They didn't. They didn't. He got his
line was over 80 that game when it was listed at 50. They gave him the ball.
But he had total scrimmage yards of around 80 and a half from week 10 on, and he went over it every single week except for 1 week. But he didn't always go over his rushing, so he was hugely involved.
It was receiving. It was receiving, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at when I asked that question about what was his biggest strength. And I think you hit it right. You said elusiveness.
Yeah.
And with a player that has that kind of elusiveness, when it's a short yardage throw, you have a high percentage of breaking first tackle.
Yeah.
Now, if I know anything about Kirk Cousins, which love Kirk Cousins.
You love Kirk Cousins.
Fucking love Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. That's fair.
Love Kirk.
That's fair.
I don't love him for the downfield stuff. What I like is the smart decisions. I like that Kirk Cousins has a brain, a very good football brain. And I think from team to team that Kirk Cousins has played on, he has understood the talent of the players around him. And that's what's made Kirk Cousins stay in the league for as long as he has. He doesn't do anything extremely well except for make a good decision. And that's
Yeah.
all you need out of a quarterback. You need a quarterback to make a good decision. And I will tell you what I think the best decision that you could possibly make is when you have the most elusive player on the field, when he's open and he's 4 yards away from you. You give him the fucking football.
One of the wild, like these stats are wild from Kirk Cousins last season. So he had 2 games where he didn't go over his line, which was sitting around 260, 270. He threw 300 yards or more. So like week 1, 2, 3, 344, 364, 367. He threw 378 in week 7 against San Fran, 284. He was throwing the ball a ton. The only time he wasn't when week against Carolina, he only threw the ball 19 times. And I mean, everyone was struggling against Carolina. And then against Chicago, 31 times. Like he was throwing the ball a ton. It's going to be interesting to see if they still get him to do the same. He was like overs for Kirk Cousins, just over.
I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to. Minnesota had to.
Yeah. So
that was a smart
to be more balanced.
Yes, way more balanced.
Yeah.
However, whatever the rushing total that they come out with Bijan or receiving total that they come out with Bijan Robinson,
yeah,
definitively taking that to the moon.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it'll be 20.5. And I think I'm happy to take the over on that. It's just going to be interesting because the difference now
on the season, though. Like if I'm taking a futures,
I was going to say because the difference for me now is Desmond Ridder's not there, and he's not there to check it down all the time.
But he wasn't. He wasn't, and that was the thing that frustrated me the most.
Yeah,
the most. Okay, Bijan had 4 catches a game. Awesome.
Sometimes.
He should have had 9.
Yeah,
with the way that Desmond was playing.
Yeah,
he should have had 9.
Yeah,
he should have been Alvin Kamara.